And we're in war. And our war is not one country versus the other. It is a philosophy against our way of life. Freedom is not free, and we may have to go to other places as well. Yes?
Question right here. I'm sorry.
Oh, I apologize. Yes. Okay.
One thing I just want to say is we're basically, we've got 3 aces, and we know there's another one in the deck, and yet we're faltering when it comes to debt ceiling. I wrote some things down just so that I can put it out there without getting scrambled, but we, as the people in this country, I know most people that have said it, don't want the debt ceiling raised and unless we have an exact amount equal in cuts, actual cuts, not
None of which.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is, it has to happen on the exact date that we raise the debt ceiling. It's got to be something that we hold them to. They would be holding us to it, and they have been. But it seems like we get up there and we get yeah, we do. We get wishy-washy. We're worried about, coming off the wrong way or too harsh or something. You know what? We've got 3 aces. It's time that we take charge. And
You want us
it
to
should
be stronger.
Absolutely. You guys have got the 3 aces. You need to tell them, look, this is the way it is, and we want repeal of Obamacare, and we want all of these cuts to happen exactly the same time the debt ceiling is raised and equal to it. And I don't see any reason why we can't do that.
Let me tell you, these are all very good. I want to have this discussion about the debt limit too, because one is, I don't want to raise the debt limit unless we do have more cuts.
Don't raise it
At all.
And I don't want to go for, it's $2 trillion. I don't want to go for $2 trillion for $2 trillion. It's got to be higher.
Oh, absolutely.
And you got to have more than just that. Now look, the principles that I laid out to the president, I was very honest with. If he would agree to those principles, I'd sit down with him. If you took a poll of our members of our conference, no one in there wants to raise the debt limit. 1/3 of our conference wasn't elected at this time. A lot of us never created this problem. But we're saddled with it because somebody else already made this promise, already spent this money, and we hit it.
Yep.
So we're willing to do, and we haven't even been able to write our own budget yet. The budget is already there to September. So, it's like we're playing with somebody else who's already set the direction. So not only are you going to have cuts right now, now you got to also understand when you put up that pie chart again. When you talk about cutting equal to the debt limit, if we cut all defense and all discretionary, it's still not enough on the debt limit. If you did it in this year. And this year only goes to September 30th, so you can't cut it all in 1 year. You just have to, from an accounting point of view when someone's talking about it, okay? Normally budgets go 10 years, but the president starts talking about 12 years. You cannot do that. So a couple things has to happen, and you have to watch this and hold people's feet to the fire. You can get cuts, but they only go for that term. You got to have Ronald Reagan trust but verify. So there might be a couple different ways to do it. In reality, maybe the best way to do it is take a debt limit vote every single month. I want to see what you're going to do. Now you need it the next time. Do it again, do it again, do it again. But our conference can't hold like that because in the last continuing resolution, we flew up on the third one. So we know we can't sustain that. But whatever cuts we get, we have to confirm that the government just doesn't grow back again the next time when some new Congress comes in. So you need some type of capping because government grows faster. So how do you put that cap in? You've got to have an agreement in caps as well. Now, a future Congress can throw that out, but normally it'll last 5 or 6 years. And then I showed you where the fastest drivers are these over here. Let me use a little feedback within here. How many of you would be for in Social Security raising the age limit and putting a means testing in it? How many in the room? Do you know what that means? Okay, if you raise the age, it started at age 65, a little higher now. But the fastest growing population in America today is over the age of 100. The average life expectancy is 79. What if we raised it 1 month every 2 years?
Too
Now,
slow.
huh?
Too slow.
Too slow?
Too slow.
It makes a big difference, but it's one place that they said in the debt commission.
But people can't retire and collect Social Security until they're 72 and a half, or 72 currently. I mean, like my generation.
Six, seven, eight. Yeah.
Okay, it's not 65. So you guys are saying it's 65.
No, I
and
said when
everybody's
it
65.
when it started.
When it started, but,
Yeah.
but people hear that people are collecting at 65 when that's not true. Yes, people that are in
We
their
changed the
60s,
age till 67. It's 67.
Mike, we have another question over
Okay.
here.
I'm sorry.
I am totally impressed with all the questions are great, and your answers are great too. I listed 4 questions, which you've already answered 3 of them, and you did a nice job, and I'm satisfied. The 4th one has to do, again, with the debt ceiling, which everybody is concerned with. And I understand why you guys think you might need to raise it, and at the same time, you're saying you're going to give us cuts. But you're talking about cuts in the future. You're not talking about cuts right now. And whenever that happens, the future never comes.
That's right.
So we want to address that first. And Congressman John Campbell, whom you know very well,
Yeah, good guy.
he thinks that by not raising the debt ceiling, the government is only forbidden from excess revenue. Not, we can still pay our bills, we can still do all these things, we will not go bankrupt. The only thing he thinks is that we should rethink our additional expenditures. And I wanted to know how you felt about that.
John has a very good argument. Tom McClintock has this too, and I do too as well. I just want you to walk through this. Currently, how we sell our bonds is different ways, okay? You have some bonds that automatically move with inflation, and you have short-term and long-term. The majority of what we sell our debt is short-term, meaning that it matures very quickly, some just in a number of weeks, because the interest rate's low. If we get into that debt fight, that rate goes higher and we have all this debt that's going to go through. So you also have to have in that mind, so if you're $200 billion in interest is what you're paying at a certain time, does that become a lot more very quickly that you have enough to go through? I agree with you wholeheartedly, cuts have to be now. And they have to be right now in this Congress where it's very high. We have laid that out to the president. What we do is in our budget, we cut $6 trillion. So we use our budget as the negotiations from the very beginning because the Democrats don't want to pass it. We also use it as the reform tool of the other things we want. Now, part of it would be in a debt limit vote too. You make a very good point. How do you trust to verify that if a cut is now and a cut is in the future, that it's going to take place? Well, would there be a way to doing a debt limit where you don't increase it all the way that they want it, so you can come back? Or could you craft it? If you get to this point and this does not occur, an automatic snapback of the debt limit. So it's kind of like how we deal with our military and BRAC, base realignment and closure. You can never get one base up because everybody pulls together. So what they do is they study all of them and they put them all as one package. So you have to vote them all up or all down. So then you could craft the debt limit that has that proposal. So maybe somebody wants to break the deal, but if they break the deal, the debt limit goes way back here, and then you're out of whack, you can't do it. So there are ways, if you do it properly, that you have to have that account. And we're not saying we're going to do one big debt limit or anything else. We're very concerned about the same things you bring up. How can we trust in that? And it goes back to the question earlier of what Geithner believes to be his authority and not. He believes he does not have the authority to do that. And he's the treasurer and he puts it out, so we would be into a court case from that provision. Yes, Lance.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you for coming today and talking with us. Second, I'd like to preface my question with an observation that your discussion around incrementalism in the budgeting process didn't comport itself well with the comments that I heard previously about Ronald Reagan and bright colors.
Okay.
It seems like to me like we're being a little more pastel than might otherwise be consistent with Reagan's philosophy here. But really my question this morning is about constitutional limited government, and in particular relating to the contract for or with, I can't remember, America, which I think you were a supporter of.
Pledge to America.
Pledge to America, excuse me. And as I recall, one of the provisions in the pledge
Yeah.
was that y'all would cite constitutional
Authority on each bill.
for bills. Yes. And my question is, what constitutional authority did you find in voting for the extensions to the Patriot Act?
Well, the Patriot Act, there are 3 provisions in there, the lone wolf and the others. You have the due process in there. What the Patriot Act allowed were for non-American citizens. They were regarding foreigners. And what these provisions would do would allow us to track the person instead of location with technology today. It has been held up in court. It's not an American citizen. The other thing, too, is everything that we do in the Patriot Act, they can already do to us. But we're going to allow a terrorist to have more power and do things that we not. And every time, if you want to go have this to be able to trace somebody, you have to do process because you have to go to a judge to get the sanction. From all the research I did, I brought in what I did a couple different
Cops
things.
can write their own search warrant.
You cannot on this. I will tell you what, I brought in the FBI director, and we have this one part of the Capitol that's the security, the intel department where you go through safes, you leave your Blackberries out. We brought them in there where they can tell us anything, and we walked all the way through this. Now there are some members that disagreed with them. I felt of where we go, and from the information that I was provided and some things I'm not allowed to share of what we were able to do, that there was the recourse and the protection, but also what I have found, that to protect this nation, I think it was worthy of the vote. And there's times we're going to disagree, and this may be one of them. But I will
So do
I will
have a
tell you this.
constitutional provision that you're citing or no? That's the question.
Yes, because they have due process.
What, so
Because
The Fourth
a one person cannot go in and say, I'm just going to do this. You've got to take it to show the rationale to the judge to be able to go through to trace the individual. And it was the 3 provisions of the lone wolf. So yes, I do. And one thing I would say to you, we can disagree with it, and people disagree with what was something constitutional or not. I didn't just go in and vote. I sat down, I brought the FBI director in, I brought other people in, and I went through the different questions. And I came to the decision that I felt comfortable with, that yes, it was.
at least one of your constituents does not.
I respect that. And I imagine there's more than just one. But I respect that. And I respect your position. I understand where you stand and why you stand there too.
Okay, my name is John Baird, and switching gears a little bit from